Phoenix, Arizona. In November 2025, a horrifying murder case shocked the entire country after police say 47-year-old Jeffrey Rael brutally killed his 31-year-old girlfriend, Paxton Wallace, inside their home. According to investigators, Rael later claimed he murdered her because he believed she was possessed. What officers discovered inside the house would leave even experienced detectives disturbed. A blood-covered chainsaw, a brutal crime scene, and a young woman whose life ended in unimaginable violence. This is the story of Jeffrey Rael, Paxton Wallace, and one of Arizona's most disturbing domestic violence murder cases. Before we begin, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more true crime documentaries. The city of Phoenix is known for its desert heat, growing neighborhoods, and busy nightlife. But behind the doors of one quiet home near downtown Phoenix, investigators say a terrifying tragedy unfolded during the early morning hours of the 7th of November, 2025. Just before dawn, emergency dispatchers received a chilling 911 call. The caller identified himself as Jeffrey Rael. According to police, Rael calmly admitted he had killed his girlfriend. Officers rushed to the home near West Hadley Street. When they arrived, Rael reportedly surrendered without resistance. But what police found inside the house was horrifying. 31-year-old Paxton Wallace had suffered catastrophic injuries. Investigators later recovered a chainsaw covered in blood from the scene. The murder immediately became national news. People across the country were left asking the same question. Who was Jeffrey Rael? And what could drive someone to commit such a brutal crime? Very little has been publicly released about Jeffrey Rael's childhood or early life. However, reports surrounding the case describe him as a troubled man with a criminal history and signs of instability long before the murder occurred. By 2025, Rael was 47 years old and living in Phoenix, Arizona. Some people who knew him described him as unpredictable at times. Others said they never imagined he was capable of such horrifying violence. Family members of Paxton Wallace later revealed that they had known Rael for years. They had spent holidays with him, welcomed him into family gatherings, and trusted him around their loved ones. That trust would eventually turn into unimaginable heartbreak. As investigators began digging deeper into Rael's background, many questions started to emerge. Had there been warning signs? Did anyone suspect the relationship was dangerous? Could the tragedy have been prevented? While much of the media focused on the disturbing details of the crime, Paxton Wallace's family wanted the world to remember who she truly was. They described her as loving, kind, spiritual, and deeply connected to her family. According to relatives, Paxton enjoyed spending time with loved ones, caring for animals, and living a quiet life surrounded by people she trusted. Family members said she had a gentle personality and brought warmth into every room she entered. But behind closed doors, they now fear she may have been suffering more than anyone realized. After the murder, relatives suggested that Paxton may have been trying to leave the relationship before her death. If true, the detail becomes especially important because experts say victims often face the greatest danger when attempting to separate from abusive partners. To outsiders, the relationship between Jeffrey Rael and Paxton Wallace may have appeared normal. But many abusive relationships hide serious problems beneath the surface. Experts say domestic violence rarely begins with extreme physical attacks. Instead, it often starts with emotional manipulation, control, jealousy, intimidation, paranoia, or isolation from friends and family. Over time, situations can escalate into violence. Family members later hinted there may have been tension inside the relationship before the murder occurred. Sadly, many victims stay silent because they hope things will improve or because they fear what might happen if they try to leave. For Paxton Wallace, investigators believe the situation ended in unimaginable horror. During the early morning hours of the 7th of November, police say Jeffrey Rael killed Paxton Wallace inside their Phoenix home. According to reports, Rael later told investigators he believed Paxton was possessed. That shocking statement immediately raised serious questions about his mental condition. Was he experiencing a psychotic episode? Was drugs or mental illness involved? Or was it simply an excuse after committing murder? When officers entered the home, they reportedly found a chaotic and gruesome crime scene. Investigators recovered a chainsaw allegedly used during the attack. Some reports also stated that Rael was holding a hammer and a cross when officers arrived at the property. The disturbing combination of violence and religious claims quickly captured national attention. Experienced detectives reportedly described the scene as deeply traumatic. As forensic investigators worked through the house collecting evidence, detectives began reconstructing the final moments of Paxton Wallace's life. Did she try to escape? Was there an argument before the attack? Did neighbors hear anything? Investigators searched for every possible answer. Meanwhile, Paxton's family was forced to face a devastating reality. Someone they once trusted was now accused of brutally murdering their loved one. Jeffrey Rael was immediately taken into custody. Authorities later charged him with first-degree murder. Police transported him for medical evaluation before booking him into the Maricopa County Jail. His bond was reportedly set at $1 million. As the investigation continued, legal experts began discussing whether Rael's mental state would become central to the case. In many murder investigations involving bizarre religious claims or delusions, defense attorneys may attempt to argue insanity or diminished mental capacity. However, mental illness alone does not automatically remove criminal responsibility. Courts must determine whether a defendant understood right from wrong at the time of the crime. That legal battle could become one of the most important parts of the case moving forward. For Paxton Wallace's family, the grief was overwhelming. Relatives publicly spoke about the emotional devastation left behind by her murder. One family member described the pain as generational. Instead of planning future holidays together, the family suddenly found themselves preparing for a funeral. The emotional trauma would never fully disappear. Family members later urged anyone experiencing domestic violence to seek help before situations become deadly. The case also reignited conversations about hidden abuse and warning signs many people fail to recognize. Experts say abusive relationships often involve patterns of control, fear, paranoia, threats, emotional instability, or manipulation long before physical violence becomes visible. Unfortunately, many victims feel trapped. Some fear retaliation. Others fear embarrassment or financial hardship. And many continue hoping the situation will somehow improve. Cases like this remind the public that dangerous situations can remain hidden behind closed doors for years. The Jeffrey Rael case quickly spread across social media, television broadcasts, and true crime communities online. Headlines focused heavily on the chainsaw, the gruesome nature of the attack, and Rael's shocking claims about possession. But behind every headline was a real victim. A real family. And a life stolen forever. As the legal process continues, investigators and prosecutors will likely continue examining Rael's mental condition, his actions before the murder, and evidence collected from the scene. If convicted of first-degree murder, Jeffrey Rael could face life in prison. For many people following the case, the story stands as one of the most disturbing domestic violence murders in recent Arizona history. But for Paxton Wallace's loved ones, this case is not about headlines or courtroom drama. It is about remembering the woman they lost. A daughter. A sister. A loved one whose life mattered. The Jeffrey Rael case remains a chilling reminder of how quickly violence can escalate when instability, paranoia, and domestic abuse collide. A quiet home became the scene of unimaginable horror. A family was shattered forever. And one woman lost her life in a way that shocked the entire nation. As more details continue to emerge, one thing remains clear. Paxton Wallace will not be forgotten. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this documentary, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more true crime stories and breaking crime documentaries. The Insight Views. Sharper focus. Deeper insight. Uncovering stories, revealing truths. Turning headlines into understanding.